Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with a special case study on the Cabral concept. So this is an actual lab from our virtual practice. We work with people literally all over the world, and we ship at-home lab testing to, I believe, 27 countries now. So this particular lab we're going through today is called the Men's Wellness Test. There's actually one that's a woman's wellness test as well. The big differentiator on this is that the men's test testosterone and DHEA, and the women's test estrogen and progesterone. So it's kind of like our stress, mood, and metabolism test. However, it only gives the male typical, again, women obviously produce testosterone, DHEA, and men produce progesterone and estrogen as well. But it's weighted towards those, and it's not giving you the thyroid numbers, free T4, free T3, TPO, and TSH, and it's not giving you vitamin D or your insulin and hemoglobin A1C. But it's a nice test because it's a fraction of the price, and you still get to test your main sex hormones based on male or female, and you also get your 4 cortisol through the day. It's also really easy to complete, obviously, with a saliva-based sample. Easy, super accurate, and again, from CLIA certified labs. So this lab, as always, has been redacted, so you won't see any private client information. And if you want to download it and follow along, or you want to watch right on video, you can head on over to stephencabral.com/2393. That's where today's case study will be. And the case study is actually going to be on stress and testosterone and how it affects both men and women. This is a male's lab, but I want to show you what to look for because, again, my job is to teach, and so no matter where you're running these labs, I need to make sure that you understand how to read your labs. I really believe, and this is what we teach at the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, I believe there should be a health coach in every home. That's my mission. For the rest of my life, it will be about putting a health coach in every home so that there's one person in every home that can teach their parents or grandparents or children or siblings, and they're able to read, again, these non-medical diagnostic-based labs that share with people the true underlying root causes for what will lead to and can lead to disease. And I'm going to share with you how a lab like this could. All right. So what I'm looking at first, top to bottom is testosterone, and then DHEA, and then cortisol upon waking, and then cortisol around noon, and then around 5:30 p.m., and then around 10 p.m. at night. So let's get started. So the first number, well, let's keep in mind this is a male, 42 years old, 5'10", 230 pounds, 37-inch waist, 32.8 BMI. All right, so let's look at this. Well, for men, obviously height, your height is your height, right? That's genetic for sure. So your height is your height. Your waist for men, we want it below 36 inches. And the reason we're doing that is simply typical waist-hip ratio. And there's just less chance for cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. That's why we do that. We don't do it out of any, specific metric that you're only supposed to have this, this, and this. Well, no. I mean, and again, the taller you are, typically the larger the waist that you can have, and the shorter you are, the smaller the waist that you should have. It's not a perfect science, but that's basically the way that it is. But most men should have under 36 inches. Now, again, there's exceptions to every rule. And, maybe you're 6'6", 6'7", and you might not be exactly within that. But again, there are always some in like the top 2.5%, the bottom 2.5% that are a little bit of what we call an outlier from the statistics. And of course, you should then work with your practitioner as well. And looking at BMI is just, again, one other way. We want you between 18.5 to 24.9. This person's a 32.8. It's helpful for me because at 5'10", 230, it's probably, again, like I'm not here to tell you what you should look like. It's none of my business, to be honest with you. I'm here to talk about health. And typically at 5'10", you're not going to be at the best health-based weight until you're most likely 200 pounds or under. And so I think that's a general rule to look at. Again, maybe this person is an athlete and they're only 12% body fat. Okay, well, a different story. But again, that's a fraction of 1% of the population. So ideally, what we want to do is we're certainly going to help this person if they want to. Again, it's up to them to do something like a 21-day functional medicine detox, maybe followed by Fatlocity, something like that, just to get them to a great healthy weight. Because when we're at a great healthy weight, again, as long as it's an interest of theirs, so many other wellness-based things come back into balance. And I knew that before I even really knew that much about wellness, because I was helping people to lose weight the healthy way, starting in literally the late 90s. And so that's that. All right, so testosterone, but it's good to have a little, because I've never met this person. This is someone my team was working with, but I helped to oversee this particular case. And so, because again, I meet with the team, the Equilife team, twice a week, and we go over the hardest cases. It's not that this is a hard case, but we were actually talking about PSA and a few other numbers as well. Okay, so testosterone, 132. The range is 44 to 148. Obviously, 44 is not good, and 148 is very high. I showed my higher testosterone-based labs, and the reason why that's not always such a great thing. And I did a podcast on that as well. So we'll try to link that up today as well at 2393 if you'd like to check that out. But this person is 42 years old. So 132 for testosterone levels is high, meaning like it's obviously within normal range, which is great. And there's nothing wrong with having 132 for testosterone at 42. Makes you feel good. So there's nothing wrong with that. However, normal testosterone for this age would be around 100 to 110. That's where I like to keep private wellness clients, like in that range. It's a good, healthy range. And because if it's less than that, you're not going to feel optimal. And if it's more than that, well, it may be, well, sure, it could be genetic. There's that part to it. But maybe, maybe the person's weight training. Again, there's different reasons for it to be there. So that's not a bad thing. But what I see is it's oftentimes related to stress. And that's what I'm going to show you here today. All right, so DHEA should be between a 6 and a 20. The range is 2 to 23, but that doesn't mean that's a healthy range. You don't want it really below 6. This person's at a 7. So the interesting thing, though, all labs are about ratios. This person's DHEA, so DHEA stands for dihydroepiandrosterone, and it comes before testosterone. So basically, DHEA can be made into testosterone. And so the interesting thing is that you'd say, well, this person has 132 for their testosterone. Well, their DHEA should be higher. And I would agree with that. General rule of thumb, there should be a greater amount. So why is there less DHEA? Well, now this is where the art and science comes into this testing. We have morning cortisol. Morning cortisol should be between a 3.7 and a 9.5. Healthy is between a 6 and a 9. This person has a 15.7. So basically double what healthy would be, right? So that's a lot of cortisol being produced in the morning. So that can feel like what? It can feel like anxiety. It can feel like high levels of stress. It could feel like don't have great memory, can't find your keys, like just buzzing, like really, really, the body's on overdrive, fight or flight right in the morning, okay? Now, their noon, the levels between 1.2 and 3. I like to see someone around a 1.5 to a 2.5. This person's a 2.8, so they're on the higher side of normal, but normal. Their evening around 5:30. Okay, the cortisol should be ramping down a little bit. So the healthy range is 0.6 to 1.9. I like it around the 1.5 area, 1 to 1.5. This person's at a 2.4. So again, about double, right around where they should be. And then their cortisol in the evening, healthy is a 0.4 to a 1. I like to see it between a 0.4 and a 0.6, nowhere near a 1. Because if it's close to a 1, it means that their mind and their fight or flight and their sympathetic nervous system is not turning off, which means that they're not going to be producing enough melatonin and they're going to have a really difficult time falling asleep. And if they fall asleep, most likely that deep sleep is not where it should be. And REM could actually be off the charts. And I did a podcast on that as well, when the mind is just hyperactive. So not ideal. So this person is not between a 0.4 and 0.6. They're a 1.5. So they're 3x what they should be. So again, I never worked with this client particularly, but they could be dealing with insomnia, losing muscle tone, sleeplessness, maybe hair loss, hair, skin, and nail-based issues, more rapid aging, high levels of stress, aggressiveness, overwhelm, irritability. But again, these are the symptoms typically when I see a lab like this, and I've done this for many, many, many years. And when I used to say this to an individual on a call, they're like, how do you know all of that? You know, because obviously I'm not a mind reader. There's no parlor tricks here, right? All I can tell you is this is exactly what happens when these essentially chemicals, hormones are being produced in the body. You get these failings, right? I mean, because remember, there's always an underlying root cause. There's always a reason. I had a doctor many years ago take me through a lab like the stress, mood, and metabolism, almost just like this. And it was a game changer, like an absolute game changer. Now, I was the reverse of this person. I had Addison's disease, so I was just all the way in the red on the left. I wasn't producing cortisol. But it led me then to the next level. It led me to the next step. Oh, well, why aren't you producing any cortisol? Why is your DHEA basically non-existent? Why do you have low testosterone back then? Like, well, my body was all low. This person's body basically is all high. But we're getting the first signs that this person could be starting to get run down. Not yet, because they're producing high testosterone. They're producing high cortisol. This person would be considered the alarm stage of adrenal issues, or they sometimes even call it adrenal fatigue, but this person's not in fatigue probably yet. They could be, because they could have like racing heart rate, all these things. They could feel exhausted because they're in the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system, but they would be in the alarm stage. This is like bells are going off. If they ran a minerals and metals test, maybe all 4 of their electrolytes are high, or at least calcium, magnesium, or at least calcium. And that would be, again, not normal, but common. Like that is typically what you're going to see. So you have to keep in mind, again, I bring this to you here today because there's always a reason. And you're able to see this with at-home lab testing. Again, you don't have to run it with our practice online. You could do it with an integrative health practitioner level 2. You could run it with a naturopathic doctor that does endocrinology with hormones like this, or they do the big 5 or those types of tests. But the data is remarkable because this person running this is most likely, I mean, again, you can't say what it is, but adding 10 to 20 years to their life. Because people with high cortisol they're not saying you're going to, can end up with higher rates of Alzheimer's, dementia, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and potentially type 2 diabetes or even cancer. So you have to understand is like cancer, autoimmune issues, Alzheimer's, they don't come out of the blue. They really don't. They take years to create in the body. So what we found is like, oh, this person may have higher levels of inflammation as well because their PSA is also starting to creep up. And that's why I came in and took a look at this test. And so, well, what do we do, right? We're like, what do we do? All right, well, here's what we do. We say the culprit is the stress. Now, the stress could be coming from a virus, an infection, gut health issues or digestive issues, heavy metals, what else? Pain or injury, any stress on the body. So what we do, work, life, relationships, what we go in is we ask, what are the stressors? Now, they may not know about the gut issues. They may not know about the other things, the high levels of omega-6s. That's what we lab test for, right? So we look for those. But we say, okay, lifestyle-wise, what's the big stressor? How's work? How's sleep? How's all these things? We go in then right away and we fix sleep and this high levels of cortisol. What do we do? Again, I can't provide you any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical diagnosis, or medical cures. We look at the underlying root cause issues. We go in and we say, okay, we need to use something like Adrenal Soothe, which is a nutritional supplement that is, again, from clinical studies, you see the ingredients, phosphoserine, ashwagandha, L-theanine. They help to reduce cortisol levels, all right? So that's our job. Like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to use magnesium, especially if you ran that minerals and metals test and find that. We're going to use our sleep health protocol at night and daily nutritional support in the morning, probably some omega-3 support, daily omega-3 support. We might do nothing else except for that and say, okay, how are we doing after 4 weeks? Oh, starting to feel a little bit better. Not so much that anxiety, irritability, waking through the night to urinate, all these things, because again, their cortisol is so high, right? So how can we push down cortisol at night? Again, adrenal soothe, magnesium, sleep help protocol with the liquid melatonin so they're not groggy in the morning. Like these are the things that we know help. And then what do? Oh, we work on lifestyle as well. Okay. No more news before bed or work projects before bed. Take an hour to 2 before bed. Don't eat within 2-3 hours of bed. We're going to do maybe some binaural beats or something relaxing at night. What would you find calming before bed? Work on biofeedback or breath work. We're going to do as much as we can. They're not going to do everything, but we can choose the things that we agree that they'd be able to do. And so it's a multi-pronged approach. That's truly what an integrative health-based approach is. And that's, I believe, how you get people the best results. Now, again, this is only one lab. We would look at, okay, are there heavy metals? Are there gut-based issues? And we can work with those at the same time. But I just wanted to share you with this today because, we're doing, close to 2,000 client appointments per month. And we run thousands of these labs every single month. And the amazing thing is, at least for me, is like, I love this work. And the reason why I love this work is because people feel something, right? They feel it. We call those symptoms. And they're not typically good, right? I mean, they're not like lack of sleep, anger, irritability, overwhelm, brain fog. And like, okay, well, but there's always a reason why you have those. When we start to run these labs, we can share with this person now, like, hey, listen, this is why you might be adding some belly fat because the high levels of cortisol. High levels of cortisol increase your glucose levels, your blood sugar levels without you even trying because they force your liver to break down stored sugar or glycogen, right, to make glucose in the bloodstream. It's needed for fight or flight. So like everything starts to go well when you start to rebalance the body from an underlying foundational principle. And the way that works is that you bring down the toxicities. In this case, cortisol is a toxicity. It is. It's just typically you want to produce under 13 nanograms per milliliter per day. It's like between 9 and 13. Okay. And this person in the morning is producing more than they're supposed to produce the whole day, 15.7. If I do the math here, they're at 19, 21, 22 and a half or so. They're producing twice as much cortisol per day, twice as much in the fight or flight as they should be. So these are, again, really important things to look at it. And when you know what to work on and you're not guessing anymore because you're testing, the bottom line is these things are actually quite fixable. And how long will it take to get well? People always ask that, right? Well, I say typically about 6 to 12 weeks, right? You start to feel better within about 21 days. You start to feel significantly better the next 21 days or so. So that's 6 weeks. And most people, even the worst of the worst, is typically 12 to 16 weeks for gut-based issues, hormonal issues, menstrual cycle issues. And that's what it takes. And now it's not like you're done after that. You're then trying to say, okay, what else can I tweak? How can I even get even better? But most people don't even know what well feels like anymore because it's been so long. And again, one of the reasons why I love doing these case studies is just to share with you a glimpse. This is just one lab. There's many labs to run, but this is one lab. And if you're suffering from anything energy related or stress related or sleep related or hormones related, or, I don't know if this person has high libido or low libido. I don't know what the cortisol is doing to this person specifically. I don't know if they have high drive or high anxiety, but I'm telling you right now, you can see how it would manifest in this person's body. Either they're overwhelmed. Those are all the lows, right? Low drive, low ambition, or they're completely overwhelmed, or I should say that they're in fight or flight, and that might be okay, increased dopamine, high drive, high ambition, high libido, going, right? And then the other, though, can take place, and that's when you start to then burn out. You're like, oh, now I'm running high anxiety, low ambition, low drive, low libido, low everything. You're just so overwhelmed. And so we can hopefully catch this person before they really start to fall down that mountain. And I think we got this person at just the right time where there's high levels of stress. Okay, but we caught it. And now we can begin to healthily balance that out through the de-stress protocol: diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, like the rest and sleep protocols, right? Emotional balance, scientifically backed supplements, and a success mindset. There's not just one thing, right? So let's not get it confused that one thing fixes everything. Diet alone is not going to fix this person, all right? Let's be honest. Exercise alone is not going to fix this person. Stress reduction is not going to fix this person because it's going to be extremely hard to meditate when your cortisol levels are double what they should be, right? You're just not going to be able to sit there. Okay. So again, when we take an integrative approach, that is how you truly heal. It's how I healed. It's the only way that I healed. I was doing all the little single bullet things for a decade. And then my mentor, Dr. P, came along and said, oh, it's not one thing. It's not one thing. That's why you did all of these things right. You were doing them right all along. You had the right diet. You had this. You didn't put them all together at the same time. And that's what you have to do. But the nice thing is they don't have to be perfect. You do, pretty well on your diet, pretty well on your exercise, pretty well. And you customize it for you based on your bio-individuality. And there's no better way to find out your bio-individuality than run one of these particular labs. Again, you can run it with an integrative health practitioner, level 2. You can find them at integrativehealthpractitioner.org or become an integrative health practitioner yourself, right? Because I truly believe there should be a health coach in every home. Or you can run it, obviously, with us over at EcoLife. You can go to stephencabral.com/labs, check them out, or just right over to the EcoLife main website. Or you can work with a local naturopathic doctor in your community who's able to do these too. And so, again, you have your options. I just wanted to bring you this today. I love lab testing. Lab testing literally saved my life. At-home lab testing, not the blood work you do at your PCPs, which diagnoses disease, but actually looking for the true underlying root cause imbalances. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, thank you so much. Take care. And if it was helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.